I don't want to share my face.
Okay.
Is that okay if I turn off my camera?
Okay, sure. Whatever.
Okay, cool.
That's fine. Yeah. Mm. Okay,
So
Pramod.
are we good to get started, or do we wait?
No, you could,
Yeah, no.
you can guys can
Good
start
to
now.
get started.
Pramod is here. Yes, you can start with introductions first, each one of you guys. Then, by the way, I'll start with mine. I'm Padma Ayala. I'm the founder of Seattle Data AI Security. The whole purpose is to connect, network, learn, thrive together. That's all the agenda. That's why we are doing this. First time we are doing a hackathon, and I'm very happy to see you all participating. So that's about me. Thanks.
Hey team, I'm Pramod. I lead customer data platform at Walmart. Been a long time proponent of data and privacy, and that's why AI is a natural kind of interest area and passion for me. Got involved with Padma over the last few months, so helping out with this hackathon. Looking forward to hearing about what Honeybee is. Very colorful first slide, so maybe we should dive into it.
Yeah, for sure. So I am here along with my two other teammates, Jason and Yifan. And so I will get started on introducing myself a little bit. My name is Juan Yu. I am currently a data analytics consultant working in a consulting company. Not going to review which one. But I'm happy to, I'm really excited to share about like our AI agent system with you all and like kind of how our platform kind of will empower the supply chain world and be able to kind of make it work better. I'm gonna hand over to my other teammates to do introduction.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jason. I'm a software developer over at Amazon. Honestly, I joined this because I haven't done a hackathon in a bit too long. And I really just wanted a way to kind of stretch my legs a bit with the new dev tools, Gen AI powered dev tools we have.
Hi, my name is Yifan. So I've been really interested into data and AI. It's my kind of first AI hackathon, but I mainly play role as a UX designer and researcher. So wanting to kind of see how can I make difference. So that's about me.
Great. So we're gonna get started with our presentation. So as you all see in the cover slide, our product is Honeybee. We're essentially a AI shipment agent system for e-commerce sellers. And so we can go into the next slide to kind of share with you more about the problem space we're solving, and then more details about the solution. So the current the problem that we're focusing on is the kind of supply chain area where we're seeing that like a lot of e-commerce sellers they don't really have like a affordable and effective real life shipment tracking tool or system when they encounter any types of disruptions, for example, like weather or like rural like brokerage or like things like that, which can cause like delays on the shipments and potentially have like loss in their revenue. And then so as you can see that this is really important. Like our user group here as a seller, they they really need a real time tracking system to be able to like track each of like the status in each of the supply chain stages so that they can see like kind of what's going on and any risks um, and things like that in the supply chain. And as you can see like in the diagram here that we list out, we like supply chain like space is really huge, right? Like there are a lot of stakeholders involved, and the seller is like the first starting point. But then all each of the stakeholders after that, like factory, warehouse, carrier, customer, they all, you know, if something goes wrong in each one of them, that would impact the seller. So like happy to go into that more, like for example, like factory, if they, something like the products that they need to produce, like have some delays, maybe like they couldn't get like materials on time from like places, like other places, then it would cause them um not being able to like develop the products on time and be able to and then ship them out. So that created like that will create accountability risks for the sellers and the warehouses. Like if if the factory, right, is not able to like produce the products on time, that would impact the warehouse like timeline in terms of like kind of preparing the products and like get them to like a carrier, shipment carrier, and send them out to customers. And then carrier, right? That obviously like when we have like all this like kind of effects, risks cascade down to like carrier, then they're not going to be able to deliver the products, and that would damage sellers kind of their delivery premises to the customers. And at the end of the chain, like customer, that's like kind of the second most important stakeholders that would get impacted, right? Like they're not going to get the products that they ordered, that they bought online from the seller, and they're not going to use it, so they would file a lot of complaints about the seller. But like really the seller, in this case, like there's nothing, the real problem usually doesn't like really happen on the seller, right? Like it happens on like kind of other stages within this process, like factory, warehouse, carrier. So which is why like it's super important, critical for for sellers to have this a AI agent system where they can be able to like effectively use advanced technologies to be able to get the latest status of their shipment packages, and be able to like acknowledge any risks or like any unexpected situations happen, and be able to like mitigate that, right? Come up with solutions to mitigate that. So that's kind of like overview of the problem statement and kind of the pain points that our main user group seller are encountering right now. And so how we might be able to help sellers be able to like solve the pain point, right? So as a solution, we have created a AI-driven system that can be able to provide like shipment delivery status in real time, and then be able to like provide sellers simulations on any disruptions, whether that would be weather or other situations, and then be able to provide the sellers to like have rerouting options, so that they can still be able to like deliver the products on time. Any questions so far about our problem statement, about our user group, before I go into elaborate more about the key features that our product has?
One quick question. So you talk about delays due to disruptions.
Right.
Am I understanding that it is more about when a product has not left a warehouse for shipping? Because if it's on the ship and then there's further delays, is that a use case you're not solving for today?
You mean, so to clarify, you mean like the shipments have not left?
Yeah, let's talk about the Suez
whether
Canal
that's like
thing that
problem we're
happened
not
recently, right? The
focused
Suez
on.
Canal thing that happened a few years ago. There was a ship that was stuck there, and every ship was delayed beyond that. So your shipment's on the ship there. So what is the problem you're looking to solve in a scenario like that? Or are you solving a problem where the product is still not shipped and you're trying to find alternate routes given there is an existing supply chain challenge?
Right. I would say like both.
Okay.
And so, yeah, like in this case, right, like the sellers we're able to go into our system, and before a package shipment like goes out, then they can like simulate any unexpected disruptions they could think of, and um, and then like be able to like review kind of various routing options to choose from. Or like there would be scenarios when the shipment, a shipment, or they have ship out, but if the seller wants to like learn about the status of it, then they would go into like our platform and then get real time update. And then they, if I see any unexpected situations happen, then they will mitigate. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's a long answer to your question.
That's okay. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, sure. So now, with no questions, I'm going to go into the key features that our system provides. So there are two really, we focus on two main types of features here. One is the real-time shipment tracking. So what our system has is the light updates that that sellers can see, like on shipment status, like location and estimate delivery times. And there will be like interactive map, like visually for sellers to know maybe what is the upcoming and that and or what is the historical route that or has already happened, and then also be able to like, kind of visualize any schedule, alternate routing options that sellers decide to, if they see any unexpected, if they like foresee any unexpected disruptions on there. So that's kind of the purpose of like the mapping there, to give them like really good like visualization on that. And so second type of features that we focus on is really giving the sellers, our users, alerts on any like disruptions that happen. So like in our system, the AI would detect any delays that would come from weather, traffic, and like logistics issues that cause the disruptions. And once that gets the detection, then it will be able to send alerts immediately to sellers, so the sellers can be notified and be able to mitigate the risk or like make any other decisions. And lastly, kind of the real routing options that I mentioned earlier, that like the sellers would be able to choose alternative routes, like if they for any unexpected disruptions that already happened or that might not happen, but they foresee what happened. So any questions here? If not, then the next we would love to show you like the demo, so that you can actually see like how application works.
Yep.
The exciting part.
Yes.
Yeah,
let's hope
sure.
it works.
Good
I'm
job.
gonna head over to my teammate Jason to walk you through.
All right, so when the seller logs in, they're greeted with an overview, a dashboard of the package they have, started, in progress, anything delivered. So why don't I take a look at a route from Seattle to Philadelphia. Here I see my truck. It's in the middle of Montana, and the blue line over here is your primary route. This is your usual route. Google Maps will give you this route. And what we offer is this dotted line. So let's say some new laws or tariffs came into effect and I can't travel in certain states. That's something a traditional routing algorithm cannot support. What we do today is you have hundreds of analysts that have to go in, manually deal with different routes, drag things around, reweight certain roads or paths. But with an LLM, what we get is speed. To incorporate these new data points, all I need to do is type in raw English, and I get a new plan. At the risk of breaking the live demo, if there's a demo or a scenario you want to imagine, I'd be happy to type it in.
Let's just say blizzards.
Blizzards all over the place, or blizzards. Let's say blizzards in the northern states.
Yeah, blizzards in the northern states. Yeah.
So if I go ahead and simulate it, one of the actual limits we've hit up against is we use AWS to power all of this. And because we recently created an AWS account, we're still considered untrusted. So our token limit for Claude 3.7 is about 100x below the advertised limits. So in the background, what it's doing here, if I had checked that real-time weather data box, it would make an API call to the National Weather Service to get weather data. And it combines that, the existing route, to start and address into, well, your route here. It's a little bit faint, but you can see this line that's going through Cheyenne and Denver is your new route, and it does avoid the northern states. And because we're using Claude 3.7, we also get reasoning. So I can dip into what it thought blizzards in northern states, and it says to go from Montana to central southern and finally to Philadelphia. And for example, some other routes that we've been able to look at, Portland to Atlanta, if I wanted to focus specifically on weather events, this is one I just generated with real-time weather data. So it was able to, for example, there seems to be a lot of weather events going on in Missouri, Illinois, and Kentucky right now. So it's able to avoid that route. Yeah, so this is what we're thinking of right now is just weather data and manual input. But in the future, we want to add things like if we can hyper-localize using local Reddit data or data from X or even Snapchat to really tap into hyper-local news, we can, for example, avoid protests happening in San Antonio, or we can avoid traffic jams that are happening right in my next city in Ciudad Juarez. But on to Yifan for our challenges and learnings.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Jason. So I'm just gonna walk through like some general challenges we had throughout our project. I think the main one is really lack of like user research throughout the project. So we had limited time and we couldn't really do any in-depth user interviews, like talking to real e-commerce sellers and understand what is the pain points and stuff. So making it really hard to understand where do we solve the problem and where do we start. So what we learned from this was that really leverage secondary research, such as like we did a competitive analysis between different solution, like existing ones, and also like maybe brainstorming together what might be some like assumption for the user research. So we could understand what pros and cons from there, and then understand what is the opportunity and problem space. So for a second challenge was in general, I think the topic was really big. So supply chain is like a really big topic for us. And it itself has a really complex systems and it has a lot of problems and many touch points. So it made it really hard to like define a problem at the beginning for us and also kind of make it focused and actionable within this limited time. So what we learned was they really learned to like, how do we scope down a problem? How do we really focus on maybe one user group, like the sellers, and to kind of learn to prioritize our effort within this limited time. So these are the two challenges within like the project. And then I think I can go to the next slide and talk about maybe some future things. Yeah, so for the future, we want to do a lot of stuff for sure. So these are the four major things that we want to do for future enhancement. Specifically want to implement API enhancement for direct integration with multiple shipping carriers and logistics API. This will streamline data flow, improve accuracy, and also provide more even comprehensive real-time tracking. And then we also want to like expand our solution to not just like the US, but maybe like global logistics, including overseas shipping, and then maybe our air cargo routes as well, so we can serve a wider range of e-commerce user base. And then additionally, we want to automate shipping reassignment based on the rules that seller defined by themselves, which means that they can really set rules or threshold or like define when do they, I guess mainly like customize a little bit more. So they can minimize disruptions and then maximizing their efficiency. And lastly, we want to kind of focus on the eco-friendly side. So we want to kind of promote eco-friendly shipping logistics where we could build like a more sustainable supply chain, and then understand how we can build maybe fuel efficient and low emission rails in the future. So that's all we have. And then let us know if you have any comments or questions.
Just a note to add, we actually have our technical architecture. If any of you wants to
Yeah, I'd
learn
love
on
to
like how we
yeah,
actually
I'd love to
built the
take a look.
system, what databases we use, models. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna have my teammate Jason to go about that because he was the engineer on this, so like he knows this military the best.
Yeah, honestly, it's a pretty simple architecture given that it's just a hackathon. We're using Amazon Cognito for our sign in, sign out auth flows. The backend is fully serverless on Lambda. Data storage, we can't really only use DynamoDB because you have item size limits. You can't store these huge routes that we're generating. But we also have on the backend, we're just using Amazon Bedrock to interface with LLMs. But unfortunately, we've also started hitting the limit for Cloud 3.7. The context window is only 200K tokens, and we're getting to about 100, 150 just with the weather data. So either we have to hyper-localize the weather data by only grabbing data for cities along the routes, or we go to something like Gemini 2.5 Pro with its multi-million context token context window.
Thank you. Couple of questions. As you think about the future, would you consider making your agent an autonomous agent that it is proactively recommending you to adapt your route rather than you prompting for a route change? And if so, how would you define the thresholds for something being autonomous?
Yeah, so for that, it's definitely autonomy is the future. It's a painful experience for an operator to have to go into the UI, type everything out. Instead, there are two ways we could think about it. The dumb brute force way is just every minute or every day, every few hours, reevaluate the plan. Get all your data again, feed it in here. But the other way you can do it is more of a pub sub event-driven mechanism. So if you have your X data, right, or your Twitter data, your subreddit data from Reddit, you can broadcast that to your routes. And if you have things in different regions, you can have different, for example, if you take your compute and shard it into cells, you can have one compute cell that's responsible for the Southeast. And you can scale that independently if you have more shipments in the Southeast for some reason. And that cell will receive the updates and reevaluate its routes as needed.
Thanks.
Who is your ideal customer for this? Do you have someone? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. So our ideal customer is the e-commerce sellers. We mainly want to focus on the smaller, like the smaller scale e-commerce sellers because they are the ones who really want to find like affordable and effective like advanced technology tool. Like for the the big medium size or like big size e-commerce sellers, they have the money, right, and then they have the resources to like either build this kind of tool themselves or like they just purchase them. So yeah, again, small scale e-commerce sellers.
Okay.
And I
I like
guess
the mom and shop, like mommy and kind of like the shops that you see. Yeah. But
how would you differentiate yourself from existing players in this space, right? As an example, Google Maps already is a very autonomous agent that takes in a lot of this sort of data, like weather, whatever else, there's accidents, road incidents, roadworks, etc., and provides you that sort of rerouting, right? How would you differentiate yourself from services like that exist today?
So I can take a stab at that. There are two ways. One, the thing that we're increasingly seeing in the era of LLMs is going to be data. Different companies have their own data, and everybody's on a rush on how do you utilize your own company's data. Because honestly, the only way like LMs are great at general things, right? You feed an essay, it knows all the books, but it doesn't know the books or documentation that your company wrote. Your company might have specific, for example, critical pull times for trucks leaving warehouses, but it also could have different requirements. There's some states that you can't drive through because you may not have trucker permits, or some other factors you may need to consider. And that's where we want to really integrate into the context window. Context window, I think, is going to be key for feeding in any kind of customization certain companies may have. And that's really where we can customize versus public offerings like Google Maps.
All right. Thank you. Padma, anything from you? I have one last question.
You go ahead.
What inspired the name Honeybee?
We were honestly just looking for code names so we could just start the project, because project names are the hardest to come up with. But honeybees, or bees in general, they do a lot of routing and they do a lot of coordination. For example, the dancing they do to lead to flowers, and that's where the name came from.
Good
Very
name.
cool. Very
Good.
cool.
I like both your answers. So, okay. Yeah, I don't have anything more, Pramod. You guys
Awesome.
did a good job. Please do come tomorrow and be there. There's Speed Hackathon also. In addition to, it's more about meeting others, connecting, fun. So, see you all tomorrow then.
Yes. Thank you so much for
Thank
this
you.
presentation. I enjoyed these last 30 minutes. Looking forward to meeting you all in person tomorrow.
Thanks.
Thanks all.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for your time. Bye.